Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Riley's World, people. Welcome back to the home of the Premier League champions. It's been a while. It's been a while. Well, not actually a long time since I've been on here, but it's been a long time since I've done a video like this. It's been a long time since I've done a video about what this channel is actually about. Arsenal. Arsenal business, our business. And we have to talk our business. You know what I mean? Because lots going on. Lots going on, and we haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. We all know the World Cup is up and running in full swing. World Cup kickoff with a bang. Surprises, upset, lots of stuff going on. But we want to dedicate this podcast today about Arsenal mostly because lots been going on, and we haven't got to talk about it yet. So let's jump right into it. And you know we have to start at what? We have to start at transfer news. Transfer news. There's so much players been linked with Arsenal, so much talent out there. The World Cup is a stage where talents are being displayed. And normally, you wait for the World Cup so you can find whatever hidden gem was somewhere in Africa or in Asia or in wherever part of the world it is. They were hiding. You know what I mean? You wait for the World Cup so you can utilize it as a market. It's like free advertisement. You know, free advertisement. You don't have to go nowhere to find. It's right there. Just turn on the TV or just send your scout right there. No hassle, no worries. You're bound to find something in this World Cup. When I say something, I mean like just a talent. And I mean there's someone in this World Cup to fit a position that is needed. And Arsenal have been doing so. Arsenal have been scouting in this World Cup because we're yet to even make a bid for a player. We have a lot of players that we have our eyes on. And I mean, we have held talk with a lot of these players, but I've not yet made any initial contact with the clubs that they're from. So Arsenal is doing what Arsenal do. They are talking to multiple players for the same positions and agreeing personal terms and stuff like that with these same clubs, with these same players and all of that. And then they'll just choose the best candidate from the situation. No, that's Arsenal. Arsenal do their business their way. You know what I mean? We're here for the ride. You know what I'm saying? And the ride been good. We're Premier League champions, so what can I say? We have no complaints. So let's go down with it. One of the most talked about midfielder in the world right now, I should say, in the world right now is Boadi. Boadi. This midfielder is very, very talented. Talented midfielder from Morocco. Now, when you have an 18, is it 18 or 19? One of the two. When you have an 18 or 19-year-old midfield that goes into a game against giants, it's like a David and Goliath situation. When you have a midfielder that goes into a game against giants and come back out as the main talked about, there is something special about that guy. There is something special about that lad, and no one can deny it. It is there. The raw talent is there. And everybody who is a big club on the planet gonna want this kid's signature. His signature gonna be one of the most sought after signature in football right now because it is a proper player. He's a complete player. If it's defending, he has it. If it's control, he has it. If it's going forward, he has it. So it's not a surprise that clubs are gonna want this kid. No surprise at all. Right? And Arsenal is one of those clubs that's among them fishing, trying to get the signature. Arsenal has made contact with this kid since I think January transfer window. And it's camp. And you know what I mean? And I don't remember what the situation is, and then it was put off on hold. And here we are again. Fast forward to the World Cup. You know, they made contacts. You know what I mean? It wasn't a bid or anything like that. But we are right here right now, and this kid has light up the world. He has lit up the world. You get me? But my thing is this. He's a fantastic lad. I'm not even going to go around it. Fantastic lad. He plays the six very well. And we do need a cover for Declan Rice. You know, we do need a cover for Declan Rice because I don't think Miles Lewis Kelly plays that 6. I think Miles Lewis Kelly plays that box-to-box midfield, which is the 8, which I do think that this kid can also play very well. We are building a bunch of young talent. You know what I mean? We're building a squad for the future, and I think that this kid will definitely be a major aspect. And a statement too. Imagine everybody being after this kid, and Arsenal is the one that signed him. It's a statement. You know what I mean? It's a statement, and we need to acknowledge what Arsenal is doing. You know what I mean? Keep our fingers crossed that Arsenal can get this one over the line. You know? Yes. There's so much diamonds in the rough that are being found. You know what I mean? And one is no other than, let me say, Diamande from Ivory Coast. Everybody know that Nketiah was a rock in Arsenal defense last season. And I think Nketiah has only dribbled past in the entire league 17 times or something like that. But in the World Cup, Ecuador against Ivory Coast, Nketiah was dribbled past 4 or 5 times by one player. One player. A 19-year-old sensation on the right hand. Dribble past Nketiah. At one point I thought, hey, you know, probably Nketiah slipped. But that's just how good this kid was. This kid was dribbling past Nketiah for fun. And Nketiah is no fluke when it comes on to defense. You know what I'm saying? And quite so. Arsenal going to be linked with him. It's a situation where it's more sticky. It's a more complicated situation because he plays on the right-hand side. Arsenal is kind of stuck over the right-hand side. We have the likes of Bukayo Saka over there, Danny Madueke. We have Dorman coming through, which I think Dorman's position going to be in the middle of the park eventually. So, you know what I mean? I think it's just wherever I can get game time right now. But I think in the middle of the park is where he really going to make his statements in the future. But we still have 2 massive players on the right-hand side, the Nani and Saka, that Diamande would have to compete with. And I mean, Liverpool is after a signature, very, very much so. And if you look at the whole situation, Liverpool project might be a little bit more appealing to him based on the fact that Liverpool is trying to get him to replace a giant. You know what I mean? And his football will be more sure in that aspect. In that aspect, he's going to be more sure of game time and stuff like that. You know, where in Arsenal aspect is a situation where, guess what? We have 2 over on that side. And those are 2 very, very strong players. Very strong players. And he'll have to fight his way inside the situation to make space for himself. You know, so I really unlikely. This one to me is unlikely unless Arsenal go sell. You know what I mean? The likes of Madueke, which I don't think so because I understand what they see in Madueke. Madueke is just not a finished product yet, but he's a very, very devastating player. And if you can polish Madueke, you can get the player that you were looking for. So just looking forward to that situation, see how that develops. But as far as Arsenal is concerned, I really don't see Arsenal really going for it as fantastic as he is, unless they're going to convert him over on the left-hand side, which I doubt, you know, which I doubt. There's some contract talks going on, you know what I mean, still in transfer, you know what I mean, contract talks are going on. Mikel Arteta contract talks are going on. It has started. Let's read what the end of Arsenal said. You know what I mean? When you're on the Arsenal talk, yeah, listen. Y'all know that, right? Yeah, one of the most credible sources in football. You know what I mean? Up there with Fabrizio and all of them. You know what I mean? Who knows? End of Arsenal said, Mikel Arteta is set to renew his contract with Arsenal and spearhead to the title defense of the English champions. Right? So the contract talk is set to renew and all of that. Before I even mention that, there was a situation that the president that was running, or the candidate president that was running for the job in the Real Madrid situation had Arteta. Something you have to laugh about this situation because persons are using whatever pitch they're using so that they can gain. You know what I mean? But he had Arteta as the manager that he would have brought in if he had won. Michelle, something. Arteta was a manager, was his dream manager if he had won the presidential race. What a joke. People, this is a joke for so much reason. So much reason. First and foremost, Arteta is a Barcelona fan. Arteta is a Barcelona fan. I would never ever see Arteta coaching Spurs. Ever. I don't think ever. And it's the same way I don't think I'll ever see Arteta coach Real Madrid. No joke about it. Arteta is a Barcelona fan, and you know what I mean, it is what it is. Some loyalties just can't be bought. And I think Arteta loyalty is one of those that just cannot be bought. You know what I mean? So, you know, as I said, sometimes you got to just laugh about situation. So anyway, the club approach, and it was agreed Mikel Arteta wanted to focus on delivering us major silverware and to earn his position within the home of the champion. So Arteta was approached before the season was done, you know what I mean? And him and the club come to understand and say, hey, let's put this on hold. You know what I mean? Arteta had some interview, and at one point in the interview, you know what I mean, he said the question himself. You know what I mean? The question was that he was wondering if he would ever get it over the line. Second. Gotta be devastating, people. Come on. We're human beings. It gotta be devastating, and the devastation was taking a toll on him. He was being short. Sometimes frustration and all that. But he never gave up. You know what I mean? He is a fighter and he fights all the way through. He never gave up. You know what I mean? And my heart's off him for that. And look at us now. We are Premier League champions. You know what I mean? So he wanted to make sure that his position was earned. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's probably a situation where, guess what? If I win the Premier League or the Champions League, I can negotiate a bigger salary. I can get better players. You know what I mean? And all of that. So let's see what position I'm standing in at the end of the season to know how well my negotiation can go on. You know what I mean? Probably something like that. Because right now, he is in a strong negotiation position. You know, he's going to get an important salary. We all know that. You know what I mean? Everybody that was saying Arteta out is now Arteta in. You know what I mean? Everybody was saying that he needs to leave. He's now saying that he needs to stay. Because, you know what I mean? This guy delivered us a trophy after 22 years. Come on, people. You know what I mean? And he wants to build on that. He wants to stamp himself in English Premier League history. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to Arteta, man. Everybody always know me. I'm an Arteta fan. You know what I mean? And I always tell people this. Arteta came through the ranks. You know what I mean? He was a player in Arsenal system. And to leave and come back as a coach, that means to me, you know and understand what this football is about. So why go outside and look persons who you're going to have to embed the culture in when you have a talented young coach right here that already knows the culture? He changed the culture immediately when he came back. Bring it back to where it was. Arsenal fans are united. We haven't been united in so long. We're always divided. We don't like this manager, we like this one. We don't like this player, we like this one. The crank is out, the crank is in. It's always been a source of drama. You know what I mean? No, look at it. Everybody is under one umbrella. You know what I mean? Everybody under one umbrella. No rain can't wet with. The rain can't wet with while we cover. While we are squeezing and squeeze out to make sure that everybody fit. It's a family unit again, and that's what Arsenal has always been about. Always been about family. Arteta has brought that back to us. You know what I mean? Arteta has brought that back to us. So my hats off to Arteta. I hope he gets a ridiculous contract. We're full of money. You know what I mean? So we can comfortably sit down and do his job. You know what I mean? Of course. That's my wish for him. Other news on renewal of contract is Timber. I know Timber has been injured for a little bit now, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Timber injury is just whatever. Timber is a fantastic defender. We want to keep him for as long as we possibly can. We are looking forward to starting next season with him. And we're looking forward for him to get over this injury that's been hampering, this brand injury that cost him to miss out of the World Cup. You know what I mean? And I hope he come back with red in my mind and ready for the season. You know what I mean? Take on the world and just help us just bring it home again. And do even one better. You know what I mean? Bring on the Champions League along with it. You know what I mean? So contract talks are ramping up. You know what I mean? With renewal of contract with these players, one of the most important ones is Mr. Declan Rice himself. Arsenal are trying to make sure that they tie down Declan Rice to a long-term plan for the club. You know what I mean? I always tell people Declan Rice is my future captain. You know what I mean? I would put Declan Rice as the captain for next season, but that's just me. You know what I mean? That's just me. Odegaard is still here. We gotta respect Odegaard as a captain. You know what I mean? He's the first captain to lift a silverware, major silverware for us in 22 years. So at the end of the day, Odegaard is still a fantastic player. He's still our captain. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm just saying that we could change leadership. Because I definitely don't want Odegaard to go nowhere. I think if you strip the responsibility of the captain from Odegaard, you'll probably get a better player. You know what I mean? And that's what we want from them. We want them to be a better player. And I think if you give Declan Rice the captaincy, you'll even have a better player. You see where I'm coming from? That's my opinion. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking. And Declan Rice contract talk has begun. And hopefully they wrap this up soon, because you know big teams are always sniffing around, right? Always a sniff around. They want to concern them. Declan Rice is our business. He's out. So Declan Rice contract talk has start, you know what I mean? And this is what's going on. Let's see how fast they can wrap this up. I don't think Declan Rice want to go anywhere. I think Declan Rice is comfortable. I think he feels at home, you know what I mean? And I think that is that. I wanted to mention about something about the Calafiori situation with Real Madrid. First and foremost, as I always tell people, Calafiori is an Arsenal player. There's no way, shape, or form Calafiori would have been sold. Calafiori is a unique profile. You know what I mean? And even if we don't have Calafiori for the full season, half of the season, 3/4 of the season is fantastic with it, because it gives us a different element. You know what I mean? Different element. So I understand, and I know that the interest in him was real, but I also understand that Arsenal is now a stable club and a big club. We're no longer a banter club, or we're no longer a selling club. And the reason why I say that is this: I guarantee you, Arsenal told Real Madrid no. And the reason why I guarantee you that Arsenal told Real Madrid no is when I watched Spain game the other day and I see Cucurella, I realized that Cucurella have a similar profile to Calafiori. So Real Madrid did want a similar profile. They want that overlapping wing back that Calafiori bring, that overlapping chaos that Calafiori bring. Cucurella gave a similar profile to that overlapping chaos, because I saw that in the Spain game. He was everywhere. Now I understand what they were looking for. They were looking for Calafiori, and they found one in Cucurella. They couldn't get Calafiori out of a big club like Arsenal, so they have to go to the small club like Chelsea. It's just plain and simple. You know what I mean? You have to shop me where you can shop. You know what I mean? Arsenal are no longer a supermarket for nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's the situation. Let's close it off with none other than the star boy himself, Saka. Saka has been speaking over England, you know what I mean? And he was asked about his fitness issue. You know what I mean? I think there was a report that he cannot play, he cannot start and finish a full 90. You know what I mean? He can either do one or the other. It's either start and be taken off, or he come on and finish. You know what I mean? But he kind of rubbished that report pretty much. You know what I mean? He said he don't want to pretty much he was saying that you don't want to put the managers in a spot. You know what I mean? You know what? I'm summarizing my words. You don't want to put the managers in a spot. You know what I mean? Tuchel said what he said. You know what I mean? And all of that. But Arsenal medical staff and England medical staff has been good team for over a long time. You know what I mean? And he's in the best position that he has body-wise that he has been in for a long time. And he won. And he's good. He's fine. He's ready to go. You know what I mean? He's ready to go. So it just shows to say what a guy, man. Been playing with injury all season. You know what I mean? Hercules, everybody knows that's a little painful look at you. Not to go away unless you get fully time to fully heal and all of that. You know what I mean? But what a guy. What a guy. We've been on his back a lot. You know what I mean? We've been on his back a lot. But we need to understand the what's going on with him. You know what I mean? And just understand that these players really and truly risk it all for us sometimes. You know what I mean? His career is on the line. You know what I mean? If he aggravates this injury the wrong way or whatever it is, but he just wants to play. You know what I mean? He wants to see his teams win. He wants to see his team successful. So big up to Bakaya Saka, man. Hopefully he's back to his best. Hopefully he gets some rest after this World Cup. You know what I mean? Nani should be able to take care of a month or two, man. You know what I mean? So Saka can get that injury deal with. But yes, people, that is it for us. That is it for us. Let me know in the comment what you guys think. You know what I mean? On these transfer, the Boade, the Diamanda, you know what I mean? Arteta's contract. Let us know about it all. You know what I mean? Leave in the comment. You know what I mean? Left some valuable thing in the comments so I can read them out in our next live and stuff like that. So we can talk about it. We can talk about it. As I said, people, this is Riley's World. And Riley's World talk about Arsenal business. Arsenal business is our business. Like and subscribe to the channel if you make it this far. As I said, like and subscribe, leave a comment. You know what I mean? Thank you guys for being here. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure. We haven't done this in a long time. We need to do this a lot more. You know what I mean? Big up on yourself. This is Riley's World, people. Thank you for tuning in.